Welcome to this week's Dear Amber, Chinese Pod's insider's guide to everything China. Now this week the show is a little bit different. We have a big long answer to one question, but the question's a big one that all of us as Chinese learners like to think about, and that is, how do we learn this language anyways? So lucky for us, we had two of our Chinese potties come into the studio. That's Robert K. and Galen, and they've been learning Chinese, and actually their Chinese is awesome. So they came by for a visit and they told us about their Chinese journey, and they also gave us a lot of their own tips for learning. And so since their Chinese is so good, we can all be inspired. So I thought I'd interview them today. Okay, so today on Dear Amber, we don't have a real question, but this is a question a lot of people ask, which is, there's many ways to become fluent in a language, in Chinese. So we want to ask our listeners. We have two listeners here today who are very fluent, albeit with different accents, I've noticed. But we'd like to welcome Robert K., who might have seen on the boards, and Galen, who we haven't seen on the boards, but I'm sure we will one day. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. It's really exciting to be here.
So first of all, you guys, where do you live? Do you live in China or?
Hey guys, it's Michael here at Chinese Pod, and we want to say thank you to all of our faithful subscribers. If you're not registered yet, head over to ChinesePod.com now and get 20% off.
We got promo codes. Save your money. Promo codes. Learn Chinese. Register now at ChinesePod.com.
Use promo code GET20 at checkout to get 20% off your first year.
I'll go first, I guess. I live in Shanghai. I work here in Shanghai, so.
I'm from San Francisco, but I work in Tokyo.
All right.
Oh, yeah. I'm from Austin, Texas.
All right. Another
Claire,
Texan.
yeah,
Y'all here today. Okay, so I'm going to ask both of you guys. I want you to share your Chinese journey with the listeners, because I think both of your journeys are pretty interesting. Who's going to start first?
Go, Rob.
Okay, I'll take it. So I had some experience with Japan. I went to high school and college there for a couple of years. And after a year of Japan, I was like, this was like 4 years ago. I was 22 at the time. I saved up like 10 grand.
Whoa.
And that was a lot of money at 22.
他是开一个银行的。
Whoa.
And so I wanted to take off another semester before finishing up university in San Francisco. And I wanted to go to Egypt and learn Arabic, or come to China and learn Chinese. Granted the similarities in the writing structure of Japanese and Chinese, I already could read Japanese more or less. So I decided to come to China to save money, took a boat to Korea, and then took a boat from Korea to China. Originally, I wanted to go to Tianjin, close to Beijing.
What was with the boat? How come you didn't just fly?
Boat, because I was trying. I was
part of the adventure.
wanted to save money. It was
No
high
wonder
season.
you saved $10,000 in a year.
I was in college. I was in college, and
so you boarded a boat in Japan, went to Korea.
And then I was going to go to Tianjin, but I got lost on my way to the harbor, and I ended up in Dandong, which is on the border with North Korea, and I just didn't want to stay another day in Korea. So I hopped on the boat to Dandong. It was the only boat left. Made some friends on the boat. I got there, didn't know a lick of Chinese.
So you had never studied Chinese before?
Just a little bit on my own for a month or two. I listened to the Pimsleur tapes for like a month before I got there. Yeah, screw those. Chinese pot is much better.
Don't go that route.
So I got there, and I got set up in a hotel. My first week in China, I was just studying by myself out of books, picking conversations with people in the street, doing my best, and I was making flashcards. Everyone out there, the best way to learn Chinese is make flashcards for new vocabulary.
That is true.
I screamed. I pounded this into Galen's head.
I saw him just now pull out a wad of flashcards from his pocket.
I've got a bigger wad in my bag.
That's secret, Amber.
All right.
Actually, this guy showed me last night at his apartment. He showed me he had a basket full, literally a freaking basket. It was unbelievable.
都是他的功劳，对吧?
Oh yeah.
No. And so I ended up there. I'm at an ice cream parlor my first week there, making flashcards. This really heavy-set man from the table across the way sees me and comes over, and he 打着招呼, which is like, introduces himself and says he's never seen a 外国人这么刻苦地学习汉语. Gosh, I hope I pronounced that right, because this is going out to everybody. But
probably none of us will know the difference.
He said he's never seen a foreigner study Chinese so seriously, but but he said, your Chinese is very bad. Your pronunciation is horrible, but if
I
you
love
like...
the honesty of the Chinese.
Yeah. He said, if you like, I'll teach you. And he was the town news reporter. So to make a long story short, I'm like their son. I
You were like
became
a
part
news
of the
story.
family. His
Nice.
son is a great guy. I'm flying him out tonight. His first time in Shanghai. He's in college in Dalian. And so I'm like a part of the family, and I lived there over the course of 3 years, 2 times. The first time was for 4 months. I went back after graduating and working in the U.S. for 2 years, and to study for 10 more months. And that was about 8 months ago when I left and moved to Tokyo. But that's my journey, living on the border with North Korea. And I just wanted to learn Chinese, so I took off time and hopped on a boat and went. And
Here we are.
And I've got like literally 2 families in China that I'm probably closer, just as close to as my own family
That's
back
nice.
home. And it's
Cool.
So how about the living thing? Like, I don't think there's many foreigners I've known that have actually lived with a Chinese family, and let alone a Chinese family from a small town, border town. So is there any kind of like interesting experiences, Rob, like about that you could share?
there's one with the daughter story.
Sure.
Is that what you're prodding me to?
I think there's probably a lot of stories,
I've
but
never
that
heard
was a
this
good one.
Go on.
So yeah, over the course of the year, I had my second family, my Ai, who was a very wonderful woman, although her speech was rather crude at moments. But I learned a lot of bad Chinese words from her. So
And which is a big part of the vocabulary you're not going to learn on Chinese or anywhere else. So
yeah,
Gotta
I
get some
wanted to
Ai.
teach you guys, but Amber's not going to let me say anything.
Actually, I always say it like, because I don't really understand the full significance of the swear words, and then later I get in trouble.
Yeah, we don't want any unnecessary lawsuits.
Rob
Yeah,
could
maybe that's
help
another
you.
lesson.
Yeah, we need to start a Dear Rob show.
Yeah.
Rob,
That
nothing
we
but
could
Zhanghua.
do.
Yeah, totally.
So the mom, the Ai, her daughter Chen Chen, who's my Chinese sister, is like 24. She's 2 years younger than me, so I think, but Chinese years are like a year
Yeah, it's
ahead.
always
So
fuzzy.
She's 23, 24, 25, somewhere around there. And the mom would always say she wanted me to marry her daughter. She said she'll buy me a house if I marry her
Wow,
daughter.
The deal is getting sweeter.
Yeah, and her daughter is, to put it nicely, she's a sweet girl. I love her to death, but I like women who are a little more feminine.
That's a nice.
The
quality.
mom, there's the mom test, right? I love my Ai to death, but I gotta have.
As her mother-in-law, you're not sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to grow with a mouth like the mom, right?
Yeah, you got to do the mom test.
True.
So the mom was, the Ai is always complaining how her daughter, they've done like 8 arranged marriage visitations from their friends' sons, and the daughter's not interested in any of them. So my Ai is like always complaining about she can't get her daughter doesn't want to get married, and all she wants to do is play World of Warcraft. And and so she keeps saying how she wants me to marry her daughter. And I'm sitting at home one day at the place, and no one else is home but me and the daughter. I'm watching TV. The daughter's on the computer, and the computer and the TV are really close. So I'm actually sitting on the bed while she's sitting in the chair. And I look over, and I see her looking at a picture of her full-on tongue down with another girl.
What?
It's not a sweet kiss. This is a French kiss, a full-on. They're going at it.
How did that conversation go?
And I just said, I said to her, I said, "Oh, you're a lesbian. 你是同性恋者吗?" And she said, 你不知道吗? Like, you said you didn't figure it out already. And so she's like, "Don't tell my mom. 别告诉我妈." 我说好了。她说你告诉我妈，我不理你了. Said she'll ignore me or won't ever
guys
talk
won't
to
be
me
talking
again
again.
if I tell her mom. And so even to this day, like I've known for over a year, I called the mom last week. She's bringing up how she wants me to marry her daughter again. And I don't have the heart. I've met her girlfriend. Like they lived together for 6 months. It's a long story,
Aw.
but I told you most of it. So
Oh, that's a good story, though.
I've never heard that one.
At least she had someone she could tell, she could confide in. That probably helps.
yeah. So
Do you ever keep in touch with her still?
yeah, they're good friends.
good.
Talk to them all the time.
That's really
So
good.
she's my little sister.
That's cool.
So.
Okay, how about Galen? How about you? You're a little bit different, right? Because I know most Chinese
Yeah.
guys, there's a sort of like a trend where guys will come and get a Chinese girlfriend, but you're different. You don't have a Chinese girlfriend. How did you learn Chinese if it wasn't through a girlfriend?
There's a Chinese saying. What is it? One of my old boss in my office. I'm gonna say it, mess it up. Is like, 枪刀都不入 or 枪刀不入 or 枪刀不入. Oh, 刀枪不入, 对吧? It's the other way. See, I'm getting all mixed up. But it's like gun and knife. You're basically impenetrable. You know, you're just not gonna. They said that, they described that about me because yes, I do have a white American girlfriend, as American as can be. She's from Austin, Texas.
So has that hindered your Chinese progress, do you think, or helped?
Actually, it's helped a ton. At first, I thought it was going to be a total hindrance. I was like, okay, this is going to be weird because I'll be going to work speaking Chinese and then get off work and on the weekends I'll be speaking only English. But, you know, I'm her full-time translator, full-time translator. And every time we go out, it doesn't matter, restaurants I'm ordering, I'm haggling with the waiters and the taxi drivers and learning how to say thread count and stuff like, ultraviolet light and just real.
Those are words that
weird,
as a guy you probably wouldn't have learned.
That's the thing, you're going through just your day-to-day, your daily life in China, and really thinking about all the vocabulary that goes into actually living fully in a language, in another language. I've found that she's actually made me say things that I've never even thought about studying. I've just never thought about it, but I would need to do that one day eventually,
That's good.
We just learned about, insulation and stuff like this, who learns that stuff?
隔音材料.
Yes, learn something new every day on Dear
Exactly.
Amber. At least
Thank
since
you,
these
Rob,
guys
for the
came.
translation. 隔音材料.
So do you have any other tactics
Tactics for
Learning.
Learning. Ooh.
that you could suggest? Because you guys have done a really good
Well,
job.
like, I guess, a little bit about my background. I could tell you just how I came to studying Chinese. I am from Austin. I went to UT there in Austin, and I was in the business school there, and they had a really good exchange program. And being from Austin, growing up in Austin, I got kind of tired of Austin when I finally got to college. So I took advantage of studying abroad like crazy. And my very first trip out of the country is actually to Bangkok, Thailand. Never been anywhere else, just went directly to Bangkok, and that was very, very long story, crazy story, but long story short, I learned how to speak Thai, and I had a knack for the tones. Thai is also a very tonal language.
You don't often meet a person with a knack for tones.
Dude, I've
Milk
got a
that.
knack for tones.
That's great.
My pinyin is like, I dare to test anybody with pinyin, man. I can pick up the tones really well. So that helped when it came to. After my time in Thailand, I decided, hey, I really enjoyed learning another language. I mean, in the U.S., we had to study, in Texas, I had to study Spanish for a few years. I don't even remember anything in Spanish.
Oh, forget those non-tonal languages. Boring.
Well, it wasn't that. It's just I had no interest, back in the day. So
how did you come to China then?
Well, I went back to the States, back to the university, and I had just a little bit more time there, and I contacted the Chinese department. I was like, hey, let me be honest with me. I can speak Thai pretty well, but how much time do I really need to learn just like the real basics of Chinese, and how well could I speak it by the end of, say a year of studying? And they gave me a good idea, and so I went and studied for a year, almost a year at UT for my very last year. My first trip right after graduation, I had through a family friend was able to get a internship at Motorola in Tianjin.
Oh,
right?
so you got a job in China.
Yeah, but it was a real short-term internship in Motorola. So before that time, I was traveling. I had a few months to kind of just travel, graduate, spend some money. I was traveling all through India and all this stuff. But that's when I met this guy, Rob. That's
And
how
your life changed.
And this
So
guy,
beautiful.
Well, it's not like
we met. Tell
we're
them
not.
how we met at the 招龙青年旅馆 in Beijing.
Yeah, there's this hostel in Beijing near the
That brought you together.
Worker stadium, I guess.
Yeah.
Totally random guy. At that point, my Chinese was so basic. Just had started out, and I saw this white guy just on the streets just rapping Chinese.
He's rapping?
Yeah, literally, he can dance
You
too.
mean like hip hop?
I can bust out some Zhou
Oh, can you
Jielun.
please? We
Zhou
need
Jielun.
I sing
Okay,
Zhou
you
Jielun
guys,
at
we
karaoke.
need a new news and feature song. So maybe we can get you guys in here after to
Seriously.
break it down.
But I met this guy, and I was just like, wow, okay, it was really good encouragement because, although I had Thai down I felt pretty good with my Thai. It's just, okay, Chinese is a whole nother thing. But he was speaking it really well. And this was right after his time. He'd just spent a few months at his first time in Dandong. Just met his family, that family up there and all that. So it was really good timing for both of us. And I was like, wow. And he was just like, hey, I do flashcards. I do all, his Japanese, I think, obviously was a big boost when helping him transition into Chinese and reading the characters and stuff like that, and just gave me a lot of inspiration. And
So I remember you were telling me earlier, like every day, your little routine. Can you tell us what that is? Because that was really
Yeah.
it made me feel like a loser when I heard it.
Yeah, let's hear this. I haven't heard this yet. I'm excited.
So like after my time in Tianjin, I hung around with an IE, basically lived with
You
another.
guys like totally milking the eye angle.
Yeah,
like,
dude,
the
the
way-
We love our eyes,
dude,
man.
I want to know,
if
do you
you
pay
ever
her?
get-
Like,
No,
that's
this-
a pretty cheap Chinese lesson, like 10 kuai an hour.
It's the best lesson because they will take you around and teach you everything you need to know. So
And they're very patient.
Mine was just lonely. She wanted someone to listen to her talk.
They do, I notice my eye loves to talk.
she taught me some really fun things, and like Tianjinhua, I've got some really funny in my vocabulary, some very Tianjin local sayings and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. That was awesome. But
So
after
that's
that,
a good thing to resource.
It's
the
also,
eye.
you get some, eyes are great. Eyes are the best lessons, and they're probably the cheapest too. So my day-to-day routine, I've been in Shanghai now this time around for almost about 15 months now. But my day-to-day routine pretty much is, and I'm a real geek, so don't try to do
Don't
this.
look like a geek.
You just act like one.
I just, yeah, exactly.
He's a closet geek.
I am a closet geek for sure. So in the mornings, my girlfriend teaches here and at an international school, so I get up really early with her because I just get woken up all the time. So I sit and I read these Chinese novels. I've got these little Chinese English translation. I'm reading. I just finished Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I've read those before. Dude, I've never heard. I didn't know any other
Dude,
people
I've
do
got.
that.
You don't even know. I've got
All
the whole.
the closet geeks are coming out
yeah,
today.
dude. No, you just met the two biggest.
I can say I've
closet
never
geeks.
done that, so I'm not a geek.
No, Rob and I, no lie, we're total geeks. We're not going to divulge all of our little dirty secrets, but this is
People, please don't be discouraged. Non-geeks can learn Chinese too.
exactly.
But
just-
maybe the geeks will learn a bit faster.
or just drive themselves nuts in the process.
Okay, so you read in the morning and what
So
else?
I generally read. I read these little novels. I obviously go through all the Chinese, and it's all characters, and whatever I don't know, I'll underline. Or if I see a really cool saying, I'll underline that. That's one thing. So and then I get up. I take care of my little toy dog, the toy poodle dogs. We've got. They're really cute.
speak to
Katie
them
and Cody.
Chinese?
I love you guys. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
sure
teaching
they're
them Chinese,
listening.
dude. Yeah, they're listening. And I wish you guys will see you later in the night. Okay.
Shout out to my pet hamster, Hammy.
Right. Shout
Shout out to that cat in the back alley.
So yeah, I read those novels, really cool. And then when I'm at work, I actually sit and I have Chinese Pod all day long playing in the background. I know, we're the geeks. Anyway, so I sit with Chinese Pod in the background. I like to listen to like the advanced lessons just because everything's in Chinese, and it helps me with trying to learn how to describe things also in Chinese with my work environment. But
Shout out to Chinese Pod.
shout out to Chinese Pod, right?
Don't forget them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, shout out for Chinese Pod big time because Chinese Pod is awesome. You're not going to find the type of content. Seriously,
okay.
I'm going to do a sales pitch.
We'll pay
Hang
you
on, hang
later.
on. Oh, yeah. How
We
much?
just met
What?
John Passon, and we both did the we're not
worthy,
We're
Wayne's
not
World.
worthy.
They
Wayne.
actually did bow. I saw it.
We did.
We planned it in the taxi.
And we'll do it
ride
again.
over.
And
We'll do it
John
again.
blushed. It was
And
very
we will do it
cute.
again if we need to because we're definitely not worthy. But no, just Chinese Pod. A lot of vocabulary. Make flashcards, which is Rob's really great idea.
Okay.
Um,
Those sound good.
man, you're just
Let me throw in one memorizing passages or memorizing
This is
text.
his deal. Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't gotten into
You
this,
go.
but this guy's
my,
crazy.
My Chinese grandfather screamed at me and made me do it. Before I could study anything else, I had to memorize a passage that he picked out one of the texts from Integrated Chinese intermediate level or Series 2, I forget, Part 2. And I didn't want to do it, but once I did it, my Chinese got so much better very quickly.
Really? So like memorizing in phrases or?
No.
Memorizing the
This-
actual passage, but
The
getting
whole
the
thing?
tones. For
Oh,
example,
wow.
暑假结束了，学校就要开学了。学生从各个地方回到了学校。
He still
And I can
remembers
go,
to this day.
I can go on for like minutes,
Wow.
and it really, really helps. But it's a lot of work.
But I can
it's-
see that would help with the tones because like maybe you don't even know what you're saying, but it gets sort of like the music in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing that I do when I read. I actually read out loud.
Welcome back to another installment of Chinese Pod Trivia. And the question for you is, for what test does Chinese Pod offer preparation services for? Is it A, the polygraph, B, the colonoscopy, C, the HSK test, Or D, the CAT scan?
The CAT scan?
Ooh, sorry, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, the HSK test. That's right, Chinese Pod will thoroughly prepare you to pass this rigorous test of proficiency in Chinese. ChinesePod.com/HSK.
Yeah, I do too.
So it also helps to just kind of, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all cheesy.
kind of like
I like to read
sync
Zhiyin.
everything.
Do you guys know Zhiyin?
Yeah.
It's that women's magazine. I think it's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
equivalent of like Cosmo or something, but it's just
Are there
it's
babes
so
in it? Oh.
it's so fun
That's
to
why
read.
he's reading it. He's
It's
not
it's
The
just
Like,
like
look at
pictures,
the
I think,
pictures.
the pictures help.
no, there's not very many pictures, but it's like the topics. It's so much more interesting than anything
Actually,
you're
I
going to
think
get
that
in the
is really
textbook.
good advice, though, because that's such practical language
Sure.
for you, right? Like
Sure.
women and stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know what also is really cool? If you're in China, listen to the kids channel.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just kids vocabulary. I mean, they really like, watch all these kids cartoons, all the cartoons. I watch the cartoons, dude, whenever I have time, and it's actually, I hear all kinds of things I've never heard before.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, they're talking about like sorcerers and hidden powers and stuff like that. So it's not so much useful in your day-to-day stuff, but it's still,
It's useful for geeks.
yeah, like me. What are you saying?
Kidding.
Come on now.
Okay, guys, I think you guys gave us such great insight. I really want to thank you guys for coming. I'm sure everyone's going to love it. Make
Thank
sure
you
you
for
guys
having
post
us.
some comments on the board, and everyone can ask you guys some questions on the Dear Amber comment
Yeah,
section.
I'll get better at that. Sorry.
Yeah, shout out to my boy Taipan in Los Angeles. Thanks for the
I think
CDs.
it's Taipan.
Taipan, my bad. Thank you.
None of us know because we only know he's a squirrel. Okay, thanks you guys for coming.
Okay, thanks
you,
for having
Amber.
us, Amber.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Deepak.
That's it for this week's Dear Amber, the insider's guide to everything China. I hope you liked it. And don't forget to send your questions about anything China or Chinese learning to Dear Amber at praxislanguage.com. And don't forget to go to the comments section of Dear Amber, found in the extras tab at ChinesePod.com. And you can subscribe to Dear Amber on your feed now. So make sure you go into your homepage and do that too. We all look forward to hearing your insights on Chinese learning today. And you all can ask Robert and Galen any questions you like, and we'll make sure they come on and answer them for you. We'll see you next time on Dear Amber. 下一次见。